They thought he was just another broken victim. But they just woke up a Black Ops nightmare. By stealing from a man with nothing left to lose, these arrogant thieves are about to learn the cost of a fatal miscalculation. The legend is back. The story opens in the Philippines, where we meet Deacon Lyle, a retired Black Ops agent with a very specific set of skills. Deacon is a man who has lived his life in the shadows, but he has come to the city for a deeply personal mission. After checking into his hotel, he doesn't notice the shadow following him. The next morning, the world turns upside down. Deacon awakens in a cold daze, finding himself submerged in a bathtub filled with ice. His body is screaming in pain. As he struggles to stand, he catches his reflection in the mirror and sees a jagged row of fresh stitches on his lower back. The room is a crime scene, stained with his own blood. Struggling to piece together the night before, the story shifts into a flashback. Deacon was outside a bar when he saw a man brutally attacking a woman. Being a man of action, Deacon intervened. After a fierce display of combat skill, Deacon drove the attacker away. The woman, named Anna, was grateful. She took Deacon into the bar to buy him a drink as a thank you. As the night progressed, the two grew close. But the romance was a trap. Anna handed him a drink spiked with a powerful sedative. The moment Deacon lost consciousness, a team of professional surgeons entered the room. With surgical precision, they harvested his kidney. Anna wasn't a victim. She was the bait in a high-stakes organ trafficking operation. Back in the present, Deacon realizes the gravity of his situation. He finds a pile of cash, some medication, and a taunting note left by the thieves. It's a setup designed to make it look like Deacon sold his organ voluntarily. But these weren't common street thugs. This was a sophisticated criminal syndicate that knew exactly who Deacon was and, more importantly, his rare blood type. Despite his weakened state, the Black Ops agent in him takes over. This isn't just a robbery, it's a declaration of war. Deacon picks up the phone and calls Kong, an old associate and a man he trusts with his life. He delivers the news with cold, professional calm. They took it. And I'm going to take it back. When Deacon calls his old contact, Kong, the reaction isn't what he expected. Kong can't believe it. You're one of the most lethal Black Ops agents on the planet, Kong says. How does a ghost like you lose an organ? When Deacon mentions the girl, Kong laughs, a cold reminder that even the best specialists have a weakness. Kong advises him to drop it. Deacon is alive, and he still has one working kidney. He warns Deacon that whoever did this is a high-level player, someone they shouldn't provoke. But for Deacon, walking away is not an option. It's not just about his pride, it's about his family. Deacon's brother, George, arrives on the scene, and the true stakes are revealed. George's daughter is dying. She needs a kidney transplant, and Deacon traveled to the Philippines specifically to be her donor. The kidney that was stolen was the only thing standing between his niece and certain death. George is panicking, but Deacon remains cold and analytical. Think about it, Deacon tells him. This wasn't a random mugging. They knew my blood type. They knew exactly when I was arriving and why I was here. This is a targeted strike. They have a massive problem. A harvested kidney only stays viable for a few hours. If they don't find the traffickers immediately, the kidney will be sold to the highest bidder on the black market, and his niece will lose her last chance at life. Deacon promises George he will bring it back, but he knows the clock is his greatest enemy. The hunt begins. Deacon and George head back to the bar where it all started. Deacon approaches the bartender, the first link in the chain. The girl behind the bar tries to play dumb, pretending she doesn't understand Deacon's language. But a Black Ops agent is a master of reading people. He sees the fear in her eyes and the way she avoids his gaze. She isn't just a witness, she's part of the network. Deacon begins to apply pressure, moving from questions to a much more persuasive method to get the truth. At the bar, the girl realizes she can't fool Deacon, so she signals the security team. A group of thugs descends on him, but even in his weakened state, Deacon is a human weapon. He dismantles them one by one, his movements efficient and deadly. Seeing her protection fall, the girl bolts for the exit. Deacon is right on her heels. He corners her in an alley, where she tries to defend herself with a knife. Deacon disarms her instantly. "I won't hesitate to put you down," he growls. "You play with people's lives for a living. Tell me who the girl was from last night." She reveals the girl's name is Anna, a prostitute who works out of a brutal underground fight club. Deacon turns to head for the club, but his body finally reaches its limit. The trauma of the surgery combined with the high-intensity fight is too much. He collapses to the ground, unconscious. George and Kong rush him to a nearby clinic. The doctors are blunt. He is suffering from internal stress that would kill an ordinary man. He needs rest, or he won't survive the night. But as soon as Deacon opens his eyes, he's already reaching for his gear. George and Kong try to pin him down, begging him to stay. "I don't have time for a hospital bed," Deacon says, his voice cold and determined. "Every minute I sit here, my niece's life slips away. I'm getting that kidney back." Kong, knowing he can't stop a man like Deacon, presents the intelligence he's gathered. He's pulled the CCTV footage from outside the bar and run facial recognition. He confirms that Anna works for a local kingpin named Zoltan. However, the man she was with, the one who staged the fight to lure Deacon in, is a freelancer named Drake. Drake is the professional who coordinated the theft. He's the one who handled the logistics and ensured the kidney was harvested properly. With the names in hand, Deacon demands the coordinates for the fight club and Drake's last known location. The hunt is no longer just about survival. It's about a specialist tracking down the man who stole his bloodline's future. Deacon knows that Drake is the key to the entire operation. As he prepares to leave the hospital, his specialized instincts flare up. He's being watched. A car is idling outside with two men inside, their eyes locked on the building. Deacon doesn't wait for them to move, he takes the fight to them. Despite his injury, he strikes with brutal efficiency, but the two men are professionals. They manage to create an opening and speed away, leaving Deacon with more questions than answers. Back inside, Kong is losing his patience. "Why are you doing this?" he demands. "You're an elite agent, you know the math. You can survive on one kidney. If you go after these people in your condition, you'll lose the other one, and your life." Kong explains that the underground fight club isn't just a den for thugs, it's a playground for the city's most powerful elite. The police aren't there to shut it down, they're there to protect it. For an injured man to walk in there is a suicide mission. That's when George steps in. He takes Kong to the intensive care unit and shows him his daughter. "She has 48 hours, George says, his voice breaking. "If she doesn't get that transplant, she's gone." Deacon didn't come here to save himself, he came here to save her. He isn't fighting for a kidney, he's fighting for her life. The reality of the situation finally hits Kong. He stops arguing and starts prepping. That night, the team arrives at the fight club. It's a fortress of neon and violence. While Deacon blends into the shadows, scanning the room for threats, George spots a familiar face, Drake. George begins to tail him through the crowded club, making sure the target doesn't vanish again. Meanwhile, Deacon finds his original bait, Anna. He corners her in a private area, his shadow looming over her. "Why?" he asks, his voice a low growl. "Why me?" Anna's tough exterior cracks. She reveals the truth, she's a drug addict, trapped in a cycle of debt and dependency. The syndicate promised her freedom and a clean slate in exchange for luring him in. In the underworld, a pound of flesh is just the price of admission, and Anna was willing to pay with Deacon's life to save her own. Anna breaks down, revealing the cold reality of her situation. She owed the syndicate $30,000 for her freedom. Drake offered her a way out, all she had to do was put Deacon under. "I didn't know they were going to harvest your organs," she cries. "I wanted my freedom, but not at the cost of a man's life. If I had known the truth, I never would have stepped into that hotel." Deacon, a man who has seen the darkest corners of humanity, realizes Anna was just another piece on the board. But the conversation is cut short when Anna's handler, a local agent, bursts in, thinking Deacon is kidnapping her. Before Deacon can react, Drake steps out of the shadows. He isn't just a thief, he's a professional cleaner. He taunts Deacon, holding up Deacon's own signature firearm. "I thought a Black Ops legend would know better than to follow us," Drake sneers. "I didn't just steal your kidney, Deacon, I stole your gun. And in this business, a weapon is a legacy." To prove his point, Drake executes Anna's handler in cold blood using Deacon's weapon. "That man was an undercover officer," Drake explains with a wicked grin. "Now, his department is going to come for you. Every bullet in his body has your name on it. I've turned you into a cop killer." Drake reveals the final, horrifying detail. Deacon wasn't left alive by accident. His kidney is already prepped and is scheduled for a transplant in less than 60 minutes. Drake kept Deacon alive as a spare tire. If there is any complication with the first kidney during the surgery, They plan to take Deacon's second one to finish the job for their wealthy client. The clock hasn't just started, it's about to run out. Deacon has exactly 1 hour to find the surgical suite, stop the transplant, and reclaim the pound of flesh that belongs to his niece. If he fails, he doesn't just lose his niece, he loses his life and his honor. Drake is playing a sadistic waiting game. He sits there with a cold smile, waiting for his phone to ring with the update from the surgical suite. If the first kidney fails, he's ready to harvest Deacon's second one right then and there. But Drake made a tactical error. He didn't account for George. George creates a sudden distraction. Deacon draws his weapon and unleashes a hail of precision fire. Drake's men fall one by one, leaving the professional cleaner alone and exposed. Panicking, Drake throws a grenade to create a smoke screen of fire and debris, using the chaos to vanish into the night. Deacon doesn't have time to bleed. He turns to Kong and demands Drake's location, but Kong is worried. It's not just Drake anymore, Kong warns. The police have flagged your signature weapon. You're the city's most wanted man. Finding Drake in this time frame is impossible. But Deacon's mind is already analyzing the pattern. He knows Drake is just a tool. He needs to find the person who hired him, the client. He realizes this isn't just a random theft, it's a biological match. George, being the intellectual of the family, breaks down the logic. Kidney transplants aren't just about blood types, they are about perfect genetic matching. My daughter Isabella had a rare profile that matched Deacon's perfectly. Someone else out there must have the exact same rare condition. They must have intercepted Isabella's medical files, seen that Deacon was the perfect donor, and decided to steal the life-saving organ for themselves. To find the killer, they have to find the patient. They need access to the city's private medical database to see who else was searching for this specific, rare match. George knows a specialist of a different kind, Liam, a former student and a high-level hacker. The team rushes to Liam's hideout. George explains the life-or-death situation. I need the list. Every wealthy patient in this city waiting for a transplant with Isabella's exact markers. Liam's fingers fly across the keys, breaching the hospital's firewalls. They are no longer just looking for a criminal, they are looking for the mirror of Isabella, the person who stole a child's future to buy their own. Liam, the hacker, drops a bombshell. He wasn't the only one approached for this list. Another operative, likely Drake, had been scouring the city's digital shadows for months, looking for the perfect match. Liam refused, sensing the darkness in the request, but he knows other hackers wouldn't be so principled. He hands George the decrypted file. The name at the top of the list is Simon, a global titan who owns one of the largest private military firms in the world. Simon doesn't just have money, he has an army. The medical data is a mirror image of Isabella's. He is the client. He is the man who bought Deacon's life for his own survival. As Deacon and George prepare for the final assault, the long-buried tension between them finally breaks. In a moment of raw honesty, the truth of their brotherhood is revealed. Isabella isn't George's biological daughter. Years ago, while Deacon was a deep-cover operative, he had a secret affair with the woman George eventually married. Deacon is Isabella's father. This is why the kidney was a 100% genetic match. This secret has been a poison in their relationship, the reason why the two brothers have been estranged for years. They realize that the clock has likely run out. The transplant is almost certainly complete. Simon is now walking around with Deacon's organ inside him. To save Isabella, they can't just find a donor, they have to perform a reverse harvest. They have to take the kidney back from the most protected man in the country. The team retreats to a safe house to finalize the specialist's plan. Anna, watching the brothers, notices a photograph of George's wife and freezes. The resemblance is uncanny. She asks Deacon why the brothers look at each other with such hatred. Deacon finally lets the mask slip. He explains that the woman George loves was the only woman Deacon ever truly cared for. I was always away on mission, Deacon says, his voice heavy with regret. I was a ghost. I left her behind to protect her, but I never stopped being her shadow. Now, the mission has changed. It's no longer just about a pound of flesh. It's about a father fighting to save the daughter he never claimed, and a brother trying to outrun the ghost of his past. The truth is finally out. Deacon confesses to Anna that his attraction to her was no accident. She is the spitting image of Mary, his brother's wife and the only woman he ever loved. Isabella is his biological daughter, a secret he carried while serving in the shadows. But the emotional reunion is cut short by a brutal reminder of the enemy they face. The syndicate strikes first. A booby-trapped fridge at the safe house explodes, killing Deacon's loyal companion, Kong. Seeing his friend die in the line of duty breaks something inside Deacon. He isn't just an agent anymore, he is a father with nothing left to lose. Deacon launches a full-scale tactical assault on Simon's high-security estate. He starts by cutting the power, using the darkness as his greatest weapon. Wearing a bodycam so George can monitor the perimeter, Deacon moves through the mansion like a reaper, neutralizing Simon's private army in total silence. When the backup generators kick in, Deacon is exposed. Simon's elite guards swarm his position, but George, watching from the tactical van, triggers a series of pre-planted explosives, clearing the path for his brother. Deacon finally reaches the inner sanctum, where he finds Simon and his lead enforcer, Drake. Simon sneers at him, admitting he should have finished Deacon off when he had the chance. Drake launches a final, vicious attack. Weakened by his missing organ, Deacon is losing the fight until George bursts in. George opens fire, but Drake's body armor saves him. In the final second of the struggle, Deacon finds his opening, grabs his weapon, and puts a bullet in Drake's head, ending the professional killer's reign. But the victory is hollow. When they corner Simon, they realize there are no surgical scars on him. Simon reveals the heartbreaking truth: the kidney wasn't for him. He leads them to a back room where his own young grandson lies in a medical bed. The pound of flesh wasn't stolen for a greedy billionaire, but for another innocent child. For the first time, the two brothers are frozen. They came to take back what was stolen, but they cannot bring themselves to kill one child to save another. They leave Simon's estate in silence and return to the hospital. Deacon looks at Isabella, his daughter, and knows there is only one way to solve the math. Without telling George, he enters the operating room and makes the ultimate specialist's choice. He gives his second and final kidney to Isabella. By the time George realizes what has happened, Deacon Lyle, the legendary Black Ops agent, has breathed his last. He died as he lived, sacrificing himself so that someone else could have a future. 1 year later, the world is at peace. Isabella is healthy and vibrant, a living legacy of her father's sacrifice. George leads her to Deacon's grave, followed by Anna, who has become a part of their family. They stand in silence, honoring the man who gave every ounce of himself, every pound of flesh, to save the people he loved. Deacon Lyle spent his life taking lives in the shadows, but in the end, he gave his own to bring one into the light. A specialist's greatest mission isn't just about survival, it's about the legacy they leave in the blood they save. Like, subscribe, and join Cinemened as we continue to break down the heavy hitters of cinema. Thanks for watching.